Ads not read by me, Mary Payne, don't necessarily reflect the views of Pink Shade. If you'd like to listen to ad-free, you're going to go on over to Supercast or Patreon, and you can find the links to Pink Shade Prime at pinkshadepodcast.com. Hey y'all, welcome to Pink Shade. It's Mary Payne here, and I've got my friend Kate Casey. You all know her, you love her from Reality Life with Kate Casey, and we're here to break it down. Guys, bravo Breakdown Thursday. There's nobody better to discuss this with than Kate. We were just discussing beforehand. She's over Vanderpump Rules. I'm not. I'm still in. I'm still in. How you doing on this very early morning in California, Kate?
I'm fine. I don't know. I just feel like I've been so deep into it. Now, I interviewed the executive producer, Alex Baskin, and he told me that there is much, much, much to look forward to in the reunion. In fact, there's something that is going to air in the reunion that even the cast does not even know about. And
Ooh, it
that
was like a backstage thing, I wonder?
something that they are not familiar with, like another layer of the story, and it could affect next season. I feel like it's probably like a big secret's revealed. Maybe Tom had slept with someone else. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Ariana said on Watch What Happens Live that definitely she knew of somebody else he had slept with. It was in the fringe group, but had not really been on screen.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Alex would cover that though.
Right, if it's not a cast member.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what would be the point of bringing that up?
Yeah, I mean, we know he's a scumbag. We don't need any more evidence of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if they'll bring back like Jax and Brittany are here to discuss, and they're going to be back next season, or for sure they'll probably bring Kristen back. If she wants to do it, I don't know. I've listened to her podcast and Lala's. Like I said, I don't listen to Sheena's because her voice is aggravating. But Kristen's, I don't think I'll be listening to it after all this happens. I'm just interested in her take on what was happening during the scandal.
Yeah.
And Lala's is interesting too. Even her breakdown, she had Katie and her mom on to discuss last week's episode, which is pretty interesting to have Katie's mom, perspective. Like, here's
What
a
did
guy
she
that was.
say?
She was interesting because she's like, they call him Tommy, Tom Schwartz. She's like, Tommy was in my family for 12 years, she's like, and so to have him sitting there hiding behind a plant, she's like, it's devastating to me because this is a person that I spent every holiday with. And it was interesting to hear her aspect on it as the mother-in-law, right?
Yeah.
And how she was like, no, and I didn't like, she was like, I didn't like that I got mad and told Raquel to shut up. She was like, I'm the parent here. I'm not supposed to act like that. But she just was pushing. And at some point you see your daughter being yelled at like this or whatever. She's like, Katie can take care of herself. But I don't know. It was interesting because Lala, cries all the time. And she cries on this podcast a lot. She gets real emotional about how much she loves Katie and real emotional about how she feels about the whole situation and anything regarding a parent. I'm like, Lala is still like, and my baby, and I have a baby,
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people have babies. But I want to first talk about, before we talk about that, I want to talk about New Jersey. I just finished watching the last episode,
Right.
which is going to be, the one before the wedding special. And Jen Aiden is a little unhinged. I mean, she's like a chihuahua at a party, like, she's so annoying to me.
She's annoying. Their loyalties and who they align with, and their constant plotting to get a camera moment to ensure their spot in the next season is a little bit much. But at the same time, I feel like New Jersey tells the suburban story better than any other Housewives franchise. So for that, I really like it. I still like it. And I think that the story all season that they should have been chasing was that I think that Louis absolutely insane. And I felt
I
like
agree.
they did a great job in terms of storytelling of closing out the season with his meltdown. I think that the wedding will be even crazier.
Yeah, his meltdown at that party when he starts bringing out Bo Dietl. I was like, are you saying like Al Capone? Is this a name that like is a name that everybody is supposed to know? And then, of course, I looked it up and he is this PI or whatever. But
But
for
he's
him to,
denying it. That gentleman, Bo, is saying, I'm very glad this has come up. I at no point ever was employed by Louis Ruelas and did not do investigations on any of the housewives. I don't believe that. I believe it probably did.
so he's saying Bo Dietl, Bo Dietl. And then when they come over, Dolores and Jennifer come over to Teresa's and are sitting there with her. And he comes in the kitchen looking like a fucking purple lobster maniac. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I mean, Bo Dietl, he goes, here's the thing, I hired him, when I got in this, to run background checks and get information on all of you.
Well, Teresa
Can you
and
imagine
on
somebody looking at you and saying that? I've hired a private investigator to get information on you.
yeah, a thug would. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that now they're trying to say he was just saying it to kind of gently threaten them. I mean, even to gently threaten somebody is bonkers. Yeah, no, I think he absolutely did. I think he wanted to be on this show for a long time. I think there are people that have been said he was interested in either Dolores or Teresa. I mean,
Mm,
he's even been open about how his sister loved the show. I mean, I just think the guy is completely strange. Um,
yes.
and I think that he may be the downfall of Teresa. I think that all this dirty stuff behind the scenes is going to make the network say, this is too dirty for us and we can't have you on the show anymore. And I'm assuming, given the way that they spend money, they're going to need the show. My
Yeah.
other concern is I worry that it's going to get to the point where he isolates her from one or more of her daughters.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that. And I will say something that you posted that I think was a post that you did from Your Moms Are Watching, which sort of broke down um, Teresa and Louis, and then how they were with Dina and her husband a lot, and now they're not. And they were with Dolores and Polly a lot, and now they're not. And it's because the men in these relationships are like, we don't want to be around that guy, you
No.
know?
Mm-mm. No, and I also think none of them want to publicly comment on it because they just want to rid themselves of him. That is the
Right.
level to which it's pretty bad when someone's like, I'm not even bringing this guy's name up because it's enough. It's enough. I just want to completely disconnect myself from that. So, it's always worrisome for me when people start to isolate long-standing friendships
Mm-hmm.
um, for whomever they are with. And in the case of Teresa, it just doesn't seem like any of her old friends are around at all. Like even
Right.
the shower, I was like, how many of these people are recent friends?
Right.
And
Right.
correct me if I'm wrong, but did someone say that Louis was estranged from his family for a little bit too?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I think we do see his mother at the wedding, and of course, Teresa talks about how close she is to his sister. Um, I don't
I
know.
don't
I
know
have,
if that was always that way though.
yeah,
I don't, I feel like that story, his background story is very inconsistent. And he looks
right.
very rattled when he's asked questions. The Watch What Happens live interview was weird too because James Leonard, her attorney, was sitting beside him. That alone is just strange. And then I felt like James Leonard was like inching his way into the camera view, like he wanted to make sure that people saw him. I believe that James Leonard first represented the Gorgas, and then he represented Teresa, and now he's sitting with Louis. It just all seems very strange. I like New Jersey because there are all these layers to it, but there is a darkness there that
Right.
is at sometimes not just perplexing but disturbing. And I just can imagine the conversations that they have behind the scenes where you're like, at what point is this becoming too much of a liability? Because
Right.
there are rumors about all like private investigators and lawsuits and calls and people being threatened. It's like, at what point is this not fun anymore?
Right. And I mean, if the two of them going to jail didn't bring it down, I don't think this weirdo is going to bring it down. But I just feel like there's just
If he
seeing this
isolates,
guy.
if he isolates her children from her, that could be the darkest thing I've ever seen.
But I think he is going to do whatever he can do to stay on the show and keep her fame and her as the OG of this franchise and everything going. So,
But if she's off the show, do you think he'll still want to be with her?
yeah, he'll try to come up with some other scam. He'll put her on the road, doing cooking segments or something. But I just, and you posed the
What
question,
if
I
they
don't
run
know,
out of money?
not what if, it's when. Because I mean, again, what's his job? Lead generation marketing, which Andy was like, yikes. I wouldn't admit that. I mean, and
Yeah,
before I think
this
he
is
was like,
not the time to say that you work in lead generation.
yeah,
Yeah, I would love someone at some point to do a thorough interview with him, but I just don't know if that's going to happen. But I would
I
like
don't
to
think he would
know
tell the truth. I don't think he would tell the
I
truth.
would like some specifics. Listen, I haven't always been like a Teresa fan, but I feel like all of us as the audience want the best for the housewives.
Yeah.
Even if someone's like not our favorite person and we're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
we want the best for them,
Yeah.
especially the mother of 4 girls. I want
Yes.
her to win in life.
Hmm.
And I'm afraid that this guy is going to be the downfall.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you're totally right. I think that, the people that are all like, it's so great and the love. And even when she was on Ultimate Girls Trip and she was like, he gave me a card to read every single day. I was like, that's called love bombing. Like
I
that's,
know, but none of those women said that. I'm like, are we the jerks that would have said that? I would have been like, that is strange.
that is too much. You're gone for
It's
7
too
days.
much.
It's
But
too
then
much.
also
That's
she
too,
was a perfect person um, to, to target because she had been with a husband that probably completely ignored her.
hmm.
And so she's thinking, oh, this must be a real relationship.
Right. Right. I don't know. It seems like even Joe Giudice over there in the Bahamas, they seem so tight. It seems like he would be like, this doesn't seem right, because he wants the best for her. He wants the best for his daughters. It just seems like he would be like, I don't know, you know,
I don't think he gives 2 shits about who she's dating.
I don't either. I don't either. I think he's living his best life.
Yeah.
Listen, we need Bo Deedle to investigate Louis. That's what we need.
But think about that. You take a job, you're a real housewife. It's already like a pretty toxic environment, right? You
Yeah.
kind of, for the sake of the paycheck, maybe you go, you know what, I'll play the game for 3 months of filming. And then the rest of the year, I'll dip in and out in terms of friendships just to keep this train going.
Yeah.
But once someone says, I've been investigating you,
And your friends. These are your friends.
that's when you're like, is this thing worth it or not? And I think that the
Yeah.
network thinks about that. How are you
Yeah.
ever going to get someone new on that show?
Right.
You
Right.
can't.
I guess, for him to be all unhinged and be saying like, yeah, I've been investigating you to, people he doesn't like would make sense. But for him to sit at the kitchen table the next day and say it to Dolores and Jen Aiden to say,
Mhm.
I had Bo Diddle investigate all of you. Like to say that to your friend's face, the person that's been supporting Teresa, like I would have been like, what the fuck? Why are you, what?
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you want to know? Just ask me. You don't have to investigate me. Oh my
She's also
God.
so blindly loyal.
Hmm.
That's also troublesome to me. Like, even
Hmm.
if he came to her and said, I've done XYZ, I worry that she'll still say, that's okay. I have your back.
I think she's like, he's doing to protect me. He loves me. He wants to protect our love bubble.
The
Yeah.
minute he said, oh, I'm wearing your father's pajamas to keep to make them feel safe, any normal person would go run for the hills.
That's
And
weird.
she's like, no, that's great. Now, if Melissa had said that, if Melissa was like, yeah, I would like to wear your mom's pajamas, she would massacre her.
Oh, she was like, so disrespectful to my mother.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta. Not too much going on yet, other than
Yeah.
that kind of weird fight between Candy and that newbie. I do love this calm, therapized Marlo that we're getting. I do. I enjoy how she's like, I'm just so happy I'm not the only. I mean, she'll be in it eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you have to agree with me that this Candy and Todd stuff is so fake. That first episode
Yeah.
where they have two 10,000 square foot houses next to each other, joined by a bridge, I don't know what. And he is in that kitchen area where everybody in the whole family is gathered doing a Zoom call about a script with no headphones on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can't do that anywhere else in the
Yeah.
2 homes that they own on that property. I was like, because he's like, I'm so busy. I'm going to, yeah, let's go on page 6 of the script. I was like, You couldn't have
Yeah.
taken that to the living room. I think all that's totally fake because I think generally are kind of killing it in life and they don't really have a storyline. So for her to
I
get
think
so
maybe some
mad
of
at that
that, but
party,
it does seem like there is a layer that they're not willing to show certain segments of their life. They did break the fourth wall for a second. Like, are we going to talk about the shooting?
yes.
I think she likes to project that everything's always fine. And I think she's actually at her best when she's more vulnerable. But
Mm-hmm.
that they all get into that rut. They're like, the audience loves it when I'm slaying a scene. I actually like it better when you show that you're a human.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I think that thing with like Kenya saying Martell sent her the DM or whatever, I think that was, I felt like that was pretty real. And I think she saying to Sheree, like, I honestly was trying to let you know, like that man is trying to get in my DMs. Maybe he's like Louis, he's just trying to get on the show,
I wish that they
you
would,
know?
but included more of that language where I wish Kenya would have said, listen, we're all famous people. We're all
Right.
famous. And here's this guy trying to send me a direct message. This isn't of concern to you. There's not a little
Mm-hmm.
part of you that goes, does he really like me for me or because this gives him proximity to a TV show?
Right. And he's
But they
already been
don't
on one
do
TV
that.
show. Right.
But they kind of make her sound like she's crazy and jealous.
Right.
It's like, I think that it's almost disrespectful to the bond they all have because no, like, yes, do they fight in scenes? Sure. But they all do have this very unique bond being on the show. And there is this like invisible kind of contract with each other. Like we are going to have each other's back in terms of people trying to infiltrate this group. So
Mm-hmm.
they can have fights with each interpersonal conflict, but in terms of someone trying to come in, like that's why whenever they have a newbie, they put them through the hazing process. I
Right.
mean, that exists in like guys trying to date within, one of the castmates. Like
Yes.
it actually would be endearing to hear that kind of communication between them, but I don't know why they don't allow that. It's kind of annoying. The more that
Yeah.
you break fourth wall, the better. That's why I
Yeah.
think Real Housewives Ultimate Girl Strips work better.
Yes. Totally agree. Thoughts on Legacy New York turning into Ultimate Girls Trip?
I think that's better because I don't think I have the wherewithal to watch 3 months of filming cast members that I've seen on television for years and years and years who frankly I don't think have much going on in their lives.
Yeah, I think that the Ultimate Girls Trip 1 week with them is great. So it's going to be Luann, Dorinda, Ramona, Sonia, Kelly Ben Simone,
And
and
Kristen Takeman.
Takeman, right?
That's because they couldn't
Um,
get Tinsley.
yeah, couldn't get Tinsley and obviously couldn't get Bethany. Andy has
Mhm.
said, she said, give me this crazy number. I mean, just like Stasia said, like, sure, I would talk on a Hulu documentary about the Scandival if they gave me 6 figures, but otherwise, no, I don't care. I think
Mhm.
at some point you can just name your price, and Bethany could definitely name her price. What did Heather McDonald said on her podcast this week that what Bethany has been doing is middle class cosplay, where she
Yeah.
does when she like goes to the Dollar Tree and stuff.
Uh-huh.
She's pretended to be a real person and like
Yeah.
goes to Target and stuff. Yeah. Bethany. I would like to see Bethany on something like an Ultimate Girls Trip
Yeah, I would too.
but just because there's such a history there between all of them,
Yeah.
and she just gets under their skin so bad,
Well, the greatest thing ever is when someone who is discounted and minimized gets some power. So I love her interactions with Luann because, refer to me as Mrs. de Lesseps. We
Yes.
brought over the Statue of Liberty. Respect me. We're so wealthy. And then for
Yeah.
Bethany to have this enormous success in
Yeah.
business and then to have her, getting pictures in like Times Top 100, although that shift is almost reminiscent for me of Lori sitting behind Vicky in the home office and
Uh-huh.
Vicky minimizing her all the time. And then Lori goes on to marry somebody who has way more money than Vicky and it's rubbed in
Mhm.
her face. She gets a luxury car. That flip is always something that I love to watch in any of the Real Housewives. It's like
It's a great
someone
point.
like my mom, growing up, my mom, so Irish, she'd always be like, there's someone better than you. It didn't matter if I got a Pulitzer Prize or a gold medal. That's just the way it
Right.
goes.
Yes.
And I wish that these housewives had that in their ear. But then again, I'm glad they don't because that flip of a scene is so
Yeah.
enormously entertaining.
It's good that they don't, because that would knock him down a peg, and we like him to be up
Mm-hmm.
on their high horse. What do you think about them having Kelly Ben Simone back? I mean, speaking of unhinged.
I don't like it when I think the problem with when you have somebody that's so disjointed from the group,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of like is a sore spot. I don't know. It doesn't flow as well. Vanderpump Rules works because all those people hang out all the time. Real
Right.
Housewives of Orange County doesn't work because they only hang out if it's filming. And then as soon as
Mm-hmm.
filming's done, they leave. They don't want anything to do with one another. It's not an authentic feel like a group of friends.
Yeah.
And the others work together, but then Ben Simone does not for me. I also
Me
feel
either.
like she's probably going to go into this trying to reinvent the narrative that she's totally not a crazy person.
She always
And
does. Every interview, everything she ever does.
yeah,
And then she
it was a
only talks about,
breakthrough, not a breakdown. And you're like, it was pretty much a breakdown. So she's going
and
to try
she
to
only talks
reinvent
about
that.
Bethany. Yeah, she talks about
Yes,
Bethany
obsessed.
nonstop. Obsessed with
Yeah.
Bethany.
Yeah.
So Bethany was probably like, I'll go on it if you don't have Ben Simone. And they're like, well, Ben Simone's coming. She needs the paycheck. And Bethany's like, well, I don't. Yeah.
Right.
What about, let's talk about Croy and Kim. I just read before we got on that she has requested
I saw
he
that.
get drug tested, hair follicle tested, and that he's not allowed to shave any part of his body until said time. Because as we know, Thomas Ravenel shaved his whole body down when he was required to do that. It didn't, work out in Catherine's favor in the end. But I thought that's interesting because she said she had seen him one time smoke pot.
Okay. Do you remember when there were pictures of her on the beach smoking when she was pregnant with twins?
Of course.
So this woman has a lot of balls.
Yeah. That he
I
is
always get
smoking. She didn't say he's a habitual pot smoker, a
Just
daily pot smoker.
her way of humiliating him. He
Her way of
always
embarrassing him.
strikes me as the predominant caretaker in that family.
Of everyone.
I mean, clearly he is not managing things well in the background, and he's enabled her forever, and he allowed her to isolate himself from his family too. However,
Yes.
I think that he seems like a very nice dad, and he certainly took care of her older daughters to some degree. I mean, he enabled them too. But the idea of her going after full custody is insane. No, wait, what is it she want? No, she wanted primary custody. She
With
wants
visitation.
with visitation is absurd to me. I think he needs to take the gloves off and just really break it down what's really going on, because I trust what he says a little bit more than her, and that's not saying much.
I trust what he says 100% more than her. It's interesting, though, when this has come out, like every single person that's sort of been in the Bravo sphere that has any kind of platform, whether it's like Jeff Lewis or Jax Taylor or anybody, even Heather said on her podcast, like anybody that's ever met her in real life behind the scenes talk about how nice she is and how nice Croy and Kim are, and wonderful people, just like not at all kind of like this whole whatever they put on, that like they're actually pretty genuine, nice people. So if you go on that and not what you see on TV, which I think is probably half and half, yeah, sure, they should split custody. And why are they even fighting about it?
But
50-50?
I mean, is she nice to other Bravo celebrities? I mean, that doesn't really say much to me. Like a Bravo celebrity going, oh, she texted me, hey girl, how's it going? Well, that's because she wants proximity to other people who can give her what she needs, which is more followers and attention. But is she going to be nice to Sarah, who lives in Mississippi?
Is she nice to a waitress? That's a question.
One of the castmates from, what was that show? The Traitors on Peacock.
Yeah.
She made some comment like, well, Kyle really needs me, to be on good terms with him because he wants access to my followers. And you're like, oh, that's how it all works behind the scenes. It's like fake friendships because, all right, we'll do this collab. But I mean, would they be nice to us? No.
Well, that's why I'm nice to you, because I want to get some of your Instagram followers.
Oh, yeah. So many of them. So I think that what's really interesting about Kim is the way, for me, as like a cultural anthropologist, armchair psychologist, she, in my mind, has been enabled from the time she was with her own parents and her family of origin
Mm-hmm.
She seems to float through life never having to pay the bill. And that's figuratively and literally.
Uh-huh.
Like people
Yes.
just take care of her all the time. Each relationship that she has is seemingly makes no sense. But I
Right.
suppose they all offer her something. They rescue her, they pay something off. So it'll be interesting where she goes after this, because what Croy did, which others didn't, was give her absolute unconditional love, to the point where I think he really painted himself into a corner.
Yeah. Put
But,
himself
but the
last. Yeah.
enabling is like Olympic level. Like someone's always going to take care of it for me. That
Right.
mindset is astounding to me.
Yeah. And I think that we're going to see, because he did say in the filing that he wanted the house or whatever, which leads me to believe somehow he thinks he'll be able to pay for it. Right. So maybe, what I think that a lot of this debt and everything they got into is he enabled it, but it was 100% her fault. And he maybe would not have
Mm-hmm.
done things that way with the money, you know?
Double
So
betrayal. He may have betrayed her because he wasn't honest about the what was happening, but she also betrayed him by overspending and gambling.
yeah,
I say
yeah.
gambling because it was shown on the show. Like she's a habitual
Just sit
gambler,
at
I
a slot
guess.
machine. Yeah, just sit at a slot
Yeah.
machine with her red Solo cup,
To
Yeah.
me, I mean, to each her own, their own. But like, it just feels like throwing your own cash in a trash can.
Yeah.
Like this,
Yeah.
but that kind of goes with her personality. Like, I'm going to take the shortcut for everything. She'd lay on a bed and have like laser surgery done, but while eating a piece of pizza. Like,
Right.
I'll just take the shortcut for everything.
Yeah.
Everything is so short-sighted.
Mhm. And it's she has 6 children. So
Mhm.
I mean the older 2 of course are of age. At least I think Ariana must be 18 by now and Briella is for sure.
Mhm.
And
21 and 18, I believe.
yeah, so they're of age, but then there's, 4 minor children. Got to
Mhm.
be like the kids have got to be like 12, 8 and 7, right?
Yeah, and it's just like every couple that gets divorced in town, like all of a sudden now she's taking pictures with her kids at school, and
Of
you're like,
course.
"Nice try."
Yeah,
Mhm.
you don't know the names. You
I'm
got
like, "I thought you
dogs.
don't even know how to drive." I think he drove her, like, he was her chauffeur.
Yeah,
She couldn't
everywhere.
even drink out of a regular cup. It had to be a red cup. She can't get on an escalator. She has to go upstairs. She can't be on an elevator. It's like all these absurd rules that everyone around her just like accepts.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out because, of course, it seems like, oh, well, this is just a thing to protect the money. But like everybody's like, no, all the debt that they have, they got together. They'll have to pay for it together. But
I first
I
thought
think
that too. I
I
thought
think he's
maybe this
trying.
is some sort of legal maneuvering,
Yeah.
but I also think that they were not willing to be honest with one another until breakpoint.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
like historically, the pattern for her is I'll find somebody who will take care of it. Sadly, I think that there was real love there, but
Yes, I do
at
too.
some point, I think she also may be like, how is this relationship going to serve me anymore? He's a retired football player. He can't manage me. Where do I
Mm.
go from here? They've tried to do spin-off reality shows. What is the income? This is like the fascinating part for us as viewers too. Like we are all watching going, okay, we get up, we go to regular jobs and we are always worried we're going to get fired or whatever. And they get a little bit of fame and they think that this fame train and opportunities is forever going to be there.
Yeah.
It's like a disconnect with reality. Like
Yeah.
we're worried, oh my God, the economy, COVID, whatever it is.
Right.
All of us that are normal, reality stars are like, oh my God, I had an awesome season. I'm going to get a spinoff. Uber Eats is going to call me now. And you're like, wait,
Right.
what? And they're
Yeah.
also one of like thousands of reality stars at this point. There's like
Yeah.
another Love is Blind around the corner. Selling Sunset is back. But within the reality system, reality TV ecosystem, how one sees themselves and their level of power is really like a college course waiting to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, y'all. I know you've heard me talking about microdosing. Okay. Microdosing is what lots and lots of people are doing to feel better, and then you can get so many health benefits. Let me tell you what microdosing helps you with. Okay. Creative boost, enjoying the moment, sleep. That's for me. Pain, also me. Everybody knows I've got this back pain, anxiety. I mean, at this point, everybody has anxiety. Am I right? Workout and recovery, and I've even heard it helps with sex. So, what I've been using the microdosing gummies for are for sleep because my mind just runs and runs and runs. So, what I've been doing is I've been biting one of these gummies in half about, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour before I'm ready to go to bed. And by the time I'm ready to lay down and sort of read my book and go to sleep, I'm able to fall asleep without the hamster wheel of my mind not shutting off. It's really been great for me. It helps me fall asleep, helps me wake up rested. Last night I slept for 8 hours. It's a total and complete miracle. And I've tried everything, guys. I've really tried everything. I know that producer Ingrid has also been taking them at night for sleep, and she has really been reporting to me some wonderful benefits for her nighttime anxiety and sleep as well. So, microdose THC gummies are available nationwide. To learn more about microdosing THC, go to microdose.com and use code PINKSHADE to get free shipping and 30% off your first order. You guys, they have all sorts of gummies, all sorts of flavors, and they taste really good as well. So the links can be found in the show notes. But again, that's microdose.com and use code PINKSHADE and let me know how it's working for you. Hey, y'all, do you ever wish you had visibly thicker hair? How about less shedding of your hair? Maybe stress is causing your hair to thin, or is it the other way around? Do you have stress because of your thinning hair? There are multiple root causes of hair thinning, and Nutrafol addresses key root causes through a whole body approach to hair health. Millions of Americans experience thinning hair. It's not only common, it's totally normal, but among women, it's not really openly talked about. And if you're going through it, you might feel lonely or frustrated or, again, stressed. So you can join the thousands of women that are doing something about it, including me, with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve visible thickness and strength. I have gotten my Nutrafol, and my husband has gotten his Nutrafol, and we have been taking it. They come in these really sleek black bottles that we just leave right on our counter. Gorgeous. So you're going to go to Nutrafol.com and take their hair health wellness quiz. You're going to identify the causes of your thinning hair, and Nutrafol is going to give you a personalized plan for better hair growth because they treat it from, like, if you're like perimenopause or if you just had a baby. There's all sorts of root causes for this. And again, sometimes stress is the cause. So take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter promo code PINKSHADE. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code PINKSHADE, Nutrafol.com, promo code PINKSHADE. I did like, I don't know if you listened to Jax on Heather's podcast, but he said more than once that he goes to colleges and talks about reality TV. He's like, I do that. I go to colleges to talk to, I was like,
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that, Jax. It sounds right when you're saying it, but yeah, he's interesting. All right, let's talk about Vanderpump Rules. I thought, and again, I was telling you before we sat down. So I'm on this trip with my mom and my sisters. We had to tell my mom at 9 p.m. you're not allowed to talk. There has to be dead silence. You can't scoot around the kitchen making noise. Scoot and panic is what we call her. You can't scoot, you can't panic, you can't make noise. You have to sit and be quiet, and you can't ask questions. You can ask questions during the commercials. And so it's 8:30. She just took to her bed because she was like, I'm not going to be able to not talk. So for 30 minutes beforehand, when we were watching the previous episode, I was talking to my sisters and I was explaining, okay, this is Katie. Katie was with which one? And so they don't know anything about it. Explaining who everybody was. So when it came on, at least they would know a little bit. And they knew not to ask questions until the commercial. They did a great job. So I thought the finale was great. And I liked how they put the dates on it, like March 1st, March whatever, so that we would really understand that they film us. They said, finale, September, whatever it was. So September.
Oh, and I
have
that
March.
info too, just because I just done that interview with Alex.
Then
So
he said, what
the
did he
the
say?
filming ended September 22nd.
Okay.
So March 1st, Ariana finds out
Right.
late at night. March 2nd, they have a meeting with production. That like we're gonna start filming this all, like this is gonna be fast moving. We're gonna capture it. March 3rd, TMZ breaks the story. And now production's like, shit, this is
Yeah.
gonna complicate it more, but you got to go with it. And then, so they they begin filming July 18th and they filmed to September 22nd. So the whole season had been done.
For a long time.
Yeah. So they're in post-production, like they're getting ready to just do the last pickups. Like it's all finished. So I asked him, how would have the season looked different had this affair not been revealed? And he said it would have been the exact same season. It's that the finale episode is what happened after March 1st.
Yeah. Well, I do think that, for example, the Ken coming to the kitchen like, oh, this is a Sandoval, and then
I
walking
asked him
out.
about that. He said,
I feel like they had to go back and find it and put it in.
okay, so I asked him about that. He said, we did not tell Ken that. He said, if somebody else told him that, maybe. But
Lisa
he goes,
did, yes.
but there's also a part of Ken. He's like 70. He doesn't give a shit.
He's got to be more than 70.
He's like, he's older. He doesn't care. Like, he'll be like, yeah, whatever. Like, and that's kind of true too. Your mom would say something. You'd be like, wait,
oh, God.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Yes. Somebody said, those of us who are younger might go, that might be damaging. Like, he doesn't give a shit. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He did say, yes, he said there were people that kind of thought that's kind of like, there's something weird going on, but at the same time, bringing it up could be a calamity. Like, I compared it to, is it kind of like you go to school to do drop-offs and you see a couple in the parking lot all the time and you think it's weird, but you know that by saying something, you could forever damage not only someone else's marriage, but your friendship with them.
Right.
So you're like, it's weird, but I'll just keep it to myself. The other layer to being on a reality show is, especially in Lala's case, if you bring this up, not only harm your friendship, but then the people within the show and the audience will go, you just use this as a storyline. And then you have to hear about it for another year.
Yeah.
So you kind of go, that's weird, but okay, maybe that's their thing. I don't know. So when they went back, they were able to find all these different Easter eggs. But he said, this has been a process. I'm like, have you been sleeping? He's like, I have not been sleeping. There's a skeleton crew that worked on it because they had to protect, like the secrecy. They all had to make an agreement, like we're going to keep this because they didn't want any of the information to get out. So it was a small group and they were working tirelessly to go back and to make sure that they told the whole story. So imagine that you do the whole season, it's in the can, then this happens. And then you got to go back and look everything and see if there are extra things
that you could poke in. Yeah.
Yes. And I asked him, so he said he wasn't sleeping. I said, are you at least enjoying the success that's come with the show doing so well? And he said, no, I'm terrified because now I'm like, shoot, I have to make an interesting, like just as interesting next season. Yeah. And that's when I go, you and I are separated at birth. And because we all know that feeling. You're only as good as the deal that you made, the case that you won, the episode that you put out, like the student that just graduated, whatever that may be.
Yep.
You can't live in the happiness of that moment because you're worried about what do you do now?
You and I have talked about this at length about taking any time off or doing any vacation or anything. Because like if you do take time off, well, there's 6 other podcasters just as good, if not better, that jump right in. And now everybody listens to them and doesn't listen to you because you took a week off or whatever, it's so you don't enjoy if something gets, a couple of weeks ago we had, for some reason, and you never know why, we had our best numbers ever a couple of weeks ago. And I have no idea why. No idea. There was nothing, crazy in any of the episodes. And so then you're like, well, now you have to top that, or now
Yeah.
and it's got to be the same idea. Vanderpump Rules, like they had a bad kind of waning couple of seasons there, and COVID and everything affected it. And now they have this banger of a season, which I think would have been a good season without the Scandival. Now they got to top it,
Yeah. So that's
And
very present in his mind, which is, I think, really nice to hear that side of like the filmmaker's point of view, because I feel like
yeah,
all the talent talks all the time about what's going on. But when you're the person that's telling the story, and to understand like all the moving parts that are involved with making the show and the stress that they have to put it all together and then to make equally entertaining. And then he says something interesting about that coupled with like Housewives. And he's like, we read it, we see it, we know it when you guys are not happy with the season. And he said,
yeah, of course.
we know it's bad sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's what we were given.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in other words, if the talent is not opening themselves up and there's not enough there, there's only so
Yeah.
much they can do.
Right. Of course, it can only, yeah. And I've heard other people in reality shows, I think I've heard Kristen say it, and I've heard Saucy say it. Like, okay, yeah, so maybe I did get a bad edit, but they're only using what I gave them. So yeah, maybe it
Yeah.
was, maybe they could have spun it more favorably to me, but these are words that I said. These are words that came out of my mouth. So you can't really ever blame, oh, production gave me a bad edit, because they're using your words. You said these things. You were there doing these things. So yeah, yeah. It's interesting because, Lala being the voice of reason, who could have thought it? But I did find it interesting when Lala said when they were in Cancun, which, by the way, I've been to that resort. When Lala said in Cancun, she said to Raquel, I hope you have some good people around you, because something terrible is about to happen. There's going to be a big fall and none of us are going to be there for you. Like, how, like, it was just like, it's like, does she need to go into Aunt Cleo psychic readings? So
Yeah.
I thought the finale was great. And I thought that Ariana's speech to Tom was perfect. And my sisters were like, she's acting. This is like total acting. Like, she wrote this out. I said, she definitely didn't
By
write
the
it
way,
out.
you know what I did think too? I thought
But she
this, and then
definitely planned it.
somebody wrote this in my Facebook group today, and I was like, I thought the same thing, and I'm so glad I'm not alone. Because I think if I said it, people maybe have been like, huh? I actually think she did not suspect an affair at all. I think she looked at his phone because she thought he was doing drugs. I think she thought he had a drug
Oh,
problem.
yeah. Well, he probably does that too. I mean, allegedly, but I think that, I don't think she looked at his phone because she thought anything with Raquel specifically, but because he was gone so much. And she said, like, he's gone all the time. And even that night, Jax told Heather, that night after boys' night, they did have sex in Raquel's car. And then he was locked out of the house and had to knock on the door to get Ariana to let him in. I mean, what a scum. What a scum. And then she said, like, yeah, I did ask him where he went. And he's so stupid. I did have his location turned on. And what am I supposed to, for him to say, basically, well, I mean, it's her fault. I mean, she had my location and I said, was it Shorts? And she didn't check it.
Everything is,
What?
but that's par for the course. And nothing,
Yeah.
he's like Teresa that way. Like nothing's ever his fault. It's like
Right.
talking in circles with somebody. I also think
Yes.
Tom loves all the attention that this is bringing, which is like a sick personality disorder. Like, even though everybody hates you, and even though your business partner is suffering, and as are the investors and the employees, you don't actually care because it's the attention that you want.
Yes. Yes. And that's totally right. And Ariana said that on Watch What Happens Live. She said, strangely enough, he's enjoying the negative attention. Like, he doesn't care as long as it's attention. And I will say with her speech that she gave him, like, I've stood by you. I've planning a life. She was like doing these embryos with him, really kind of going against what she's always said, is she never wanted to have children for him. She was saying, I was doing all this for you and you did this to me. And when she said, do you have anything to say before I never speak to you again?
Yeah.
I was like, that was good. It was chilling. Him defending himself of him and Raquel was insane. He's just such a narcissist. He couldn't stop talking when she's like, I don't give a fuck about Raquel. I don't give a fuck about your friendship. I don't give a fuck about your fake connection. You have to understand that she adores and puppy worships you. So that's why you like her, because you need somebody to feed your ego. And him just looking at her like, no, that's not it. Like, you don't understand our love. And she's like, I don't want to hear about that. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, he could not bring it back around to their relationship for him to say, what I did was wrong. I am sorry. And that's all he needed to say. What I did was wrong. And I'm so sorry. But he just couldn't.
I can't figure out her personality disorder, Raquel. Like, is
I
it
can't either.
she's on the spectrum, or is there some sociopathy there?
There's some
She has
sociopathy there.
zero empathy.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it was interesting. The friend of Kristen and all of them, it's not Meredith. But maybe it is Meredith, but it's another friend that was on Kristen's podcast this week or last week. And she said the scene in the restaurant where Raquel came up and was talking to Katie, that she was sitting at the table, the girl, whatever her name is. And she's very good friends with all of them.
Jamie, maybe?
It's not Jamie.
Okay.
It might be Meredith. But she was saying that after all that went down, when Katie and Raquel were fighting, that she went up to Raquel, whatever, and said, hey, you seem like you have no empathy. You seem like you don't understand what Katie has gone through with a marriage. Like, you really, that's too much. Like, you're doing too much. And then she goes, I think you need to speak to Katie and say, I have empathy for you. And I'm sorry that I'm coming across this way. And she literally goes, okay, and stood up and walked
like a
outside,
person. Yeah.
found Katie and repeated the words that, let's just say it's Meredith, had said to her. Katie, I wanted to tell you that I do have empathy for you. And Katie's like, get the fuck away from me. She had followed her out there to say the lines that the girl had just told her. And that girl's like, that the day after everything, it hit the news and everything, that she sent Raquel a text and said, you're about to be going through something terrible, and we can't be friends anymore, or whatever. And she wrote back, thanks for checking in. Like, just like she said, there's a disconnect.
There's definitely a disconnect.
And is it a I'm going to now say for next season, I'm a love addict, and Sandoval's going to say I'm a sex addict, and the love addict and the sex addict found each other. And is that going to be the story that we're going to go with?
The other thing I have a question of, which I wish I would have asked, is that it said in the finale that she turned off her phone and was not available, but Backgrid made that video with her where she's outside the nail salon. She's like, oh, hey. And they're like, so tell us what happened. And she's like, oh my God, hi. And then she just starts talking to the camera. Did she set that up? Did Tom set that up?
She set that up for sure.
But was it her? Did she contact Backgrid, or he was like, this is what we should do?
Oh, you mean like, did he plan it out and tell her? He probably was like, dude, because he got Backgrid to talk to him and got Backgrid to talk to Schwartz in the airport, and then went to talk to her. Yeah, he probably masterminded it. But I think what he didn't expect is, when all this masterminding was going on, he didn't expect for it to backfire and for him to look so bad. That's what I think he didn't expect. I don't think he cares that much, because I think he's happy to be a villain now. But I think that the having no consideration for Schwartz is the most upsetting, because he went into Tom's apartment, is like crying and hanging all over him, and you can tell Schwartz is like, I don't want to film this with you. Like, and Schwartz is like, you need to say something, like, because our businesses are getting just slammed.
But I felt like he was playing. He knew that if he came in and cried, that was his way to get to Schwartz.
But he never said to Schwartz, man, I'm so sorry I put you in this position.
Well, I don't think he did feel so sorry. But
he doesn't. He doesn't.
Yeah. I just think he is the most important person in the world. Like, everyone else's needs are not important to him at all. The weird thing too about the Raquel thing is she does cry about her dog. So she only has empathy, but for her dog.
When did she cry about her dog? When he had that injury?
Mm-hmm.
People say the theory on that is that the dog got the injury at Tom and Ariana's house when Ariana was out of town, but she couldn't say that.
Oh.
She couldn't say that's how he got the injury. So she said he got it at the doggy daycare.
What do they think happened to him?
Because I think she said he got it trying to dig under a fence, but it was clearly a puncture wound. like another dog bit him or something like that. Yeah. And I
Wow.
know because my dog has had a puncture wound like that. It looks like a little hole, like
So
where a
is
fang
she
goes in.
crying? Was she crying because she was afraid Tom was like, I cannot let anybody know that you had Graham over here. Like, you better keep this tight. And she was
Yeah, that my dog bit your dog
crying.
or whatever.
She's crying because she didn't want him mad at her.
Probably. She's like, don't let Tom get mad at me. Him going to Lisa Vanderpump's and crying, I think, was the only realness we saw for him for the whole thing. I think that was real crying.
You standing up against the window. I didn't think that
Yeah,
was a real cry. Maybe on the
you didn't.
couch. The standing by
Yeah.
the window was very Days of Our Lives, as was
It,
the Schwartz moment.
I felt like he went and stood and turned his back against the window so the cameras couldn't get his face. Because, yeah, that's what I thought. But I thought that was the only real moment he had the whole episode. For him to go in there and not say, Schwartz, man, I am so sorry. What can I
Hmm.
do? What, for him not to apologize to us. I mean, Schwartz is clearly like sitting on the floor, like, I don't know, man.
But
And
also, Sandoval just thinks owning a bar is just showing up and playing in a band and leaving and cashing the check. So
mhm.
the idea that he would understand the fallout and how that would have implications for his staff and his investors, I think is so over his head.
I did think it was funny when Schwartz went into Katie's to talk and he was like, can I get a Coke or something? She goes, yeah, get whatever. And he pours a Coors Light. And then, of course, the Coors Light people were saying, that was a big Easter egg with Raquel drinking the Coors Light on the camping
Oh,
trip. Yeah. Yeah. Coors Light's making a comeback. So I thought it was sad
smart.
when he went to Sheena's and Sheena, like, just, Sheena is just so naturally pretty and just like no
Mhm.
makeup on, sitting on the couch. And it's just such a real, like, domestic moment where Brock's like, I'm going to take Summer to the park.
Yes, so
You
true.
guys, yeah. And they're sitting there and her just saying, like, we can't be friends anymore. And I've been friends with you longer than I've known even anybody. Before I knew Ariana, I knew you. And she's been friends with Ariana for 15 years. She's like basically, we started this show together. We
But
did.
it's interesting because I thought to myself, I don't think men care. Like, for a woman to deliver this speech, we have this assumption that this is going to be such a painful moment for them. I don't think Tom cares.
Mm-mm. No, I don't think he cared that Sheena's not going to be his friend anymore.
No, I don't think he cares.
Um, so I will also say that it seems like a lot of these cast interviews and like Jax has said it, Schwartz has said it, not Schwartz, Jax has said it, Katie has said it, and Ariana said it last night. The only redemption in the world for Schwartz is to fully cut ties with Tom Sandoval. Fully. Now, how you do that when you own a business with somebody, I don't know.
Mm.
Um, but she's like, he needs to somehow buy Sandoval out of that restaurant. Tom can remain because Lisa and Ken own that. But somehow Schwartz needs to completely cut ties with him in order to survive. And
I think he should do a call to action. Would anybody be interested in becoming an investor in Schwartz and Sandy's or whatever? And somebody will buy out Sandoval
yeah,
because there are
but
going to be
Sandoval's
enough
not going to go
people.
quietly.
There are going to be enough. I think he would if that meant he can go on the road and perform in his make believe band. That's what I
Yeah.
think he really wants to do, is become like
Uh-huh.
a musician. And like, he just said something like, "Oh, my first single came out that day." I'm like, "Your first single? What are we talking about here?"
Or have we heard that for single? Like
Yeah,
what?
like, huh?
Um, he also says, everyone says like there's for some reason Schwartz is blind to how Sandoval manipulates him and uses
Mhm.
him. And Jax is like, I've talked to Schwartz about this many times. He's like, I cut ties with Sandoval a long time ago because I could see everything he does is for himself. He may look like
Mhm.
he's paying for Rachella or at my wedding, walking around with umbrellas, trying to help people stay out of the shade or what, stay in the shade. He goes, he's only doing that for himself, only
Yes.
to say he looks like a good guy. For some reason, Schwartz has never been able to see it. And,
Mhm.
Katie has said the same thing. I have told him the only way you're going to survive any of this is to
But
completely cut ties with him.
he doesn't make decisions. He moves slowly through life. He's
Hmm.
non-confrontational. He hopes other people will do it for him. He's almost like delayed. I don't
Yeah.
know. I would be interesting to hear more about how he grew up. I mean, he has triplet brothers, aren't they? They seem very needy in some way. Maybe that was like his position in his family, where he just did everything for everybody, and now he doesn't want to do it. I don't know. It would be interesting to know what really happened.
Jack said on Heather's podcast that his three triplet brothers are alcoholics.
Oh, wow.
And he's been dealing with that. And also he said, and his mom lives in North Carolina, but everybody else is in Florida. So I don't know if the mom left the family and then the
Mhm.
dad is there dealing with the triple brothers. But he said he's been dealing with a lot of
Or maybe
mental health issues in his family.
his parents fought all the time, and that's why he just will never participate in a fight. Like, anytime he
Hmm.
sees Katie, he's like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" It's as if he just, like, got back from book club.
It's like it's a
And she
goldfish,
just
right? It's like
yeah,
every trip around
yeah.
the bowl is different. It's like brand new
Mhm.
information. She's like, do you remember what you said to me yesterday? You poured a beer on my head, or you did this, or you called
Yeah.
me up, see you next Tuesday, or
But
whatever.
maybe that's what
And
it there was huge maybe there were huge fights in his family growing up, and then they had to just act like it never happened the next day. I don't know, I feel
mhm,
like there's always some sort of backstory that if we knew it, we would go, "Oh, okay, well, that." I mean, do we wanna be married to him? No. But do we
no,
kinda understand the way his mindset is? Sure.
yeah, I think that's right. So they're not currently filming because normally they start. You said in July. I thought they filmed like June through August, but you said last year it was July through September,
Yeah, but that could have been delayed because of COVID, for all we know,
right?
It
Yeah. So
it
I
ki
wonder
they
if
have
they
to
are
kinda go
filming
by
right
the
this minute.
network. They're not filming. He said they need a break.
Yeah, because I'd be interested to see if the documentary style would be like following Ariana backstage, watch what happens, like following Ariana going to the Today Show, because
Yeah.
they'll have to start the season the way they ended it, like with the splash of like the news and the dates and
Mhm.
the what happened. And if I had to predict what's going to happen next season, I would say it'll be all about Sandoval trying to save the restaurant,
Mhm.
and then Raquel won't be on. And then she will come on like the last two episodes, like she's back
Mhm.
from wherever she's pretending to be.
Yeah.
Katie said, I think it was Katie said on Watch What Happens. Like maybe it was Ariana. I can't remember now. I've got so much scandal in my head. I can't keep it straight. But I think that one of them said that, I mean, Raquel's been saying this whole time she's in a mental health facility, but I think we all know she's at a hotel. And Ariana did say on Watch What Happens Live, she said, well, she's sending letters to our house. And
Yes.
Andy's like, what? And she said,
Mhm.
like handwritten letters you would write from rehab,
Well,
like 'cause
yeah, that
you can
sounds
only
like she's in a center, a treatment
yeah.
center of some sort to write letters.
Or she's actually just sending him letters because he won't take her calls. Like,
I
yeah,
get the impression she's not in a hotel, but I could be wrong.
yeah. From a listener, I did hear that she was in fact at Miraval. This person worked in reservations at Miraval. Said she was there and he was also booked to be there. But then of course he got mad at Miraval because they posted about it. He was
Mhm.
like, good for you, Miraval. I was like, also Miraval, you can post about me. I'll come anytime. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they didn't offer him a complete free stay.
Right. Right. So I do think Raquel was at Miraval. I think it was I think she and Sandoval were planning to go there after the season wrapped to plan how they were going to announce their relationship.
Mm,
That's what I
mhm.
think. And then she just went ahead and went anyway. And then maybe she did go to some sort of center. I don't know. But Ariana did say, oh, yeah, there's letters for him. And Andy goes, what'd you do with it? She's like, well, it's a federal violation. I can't open his mail. She said, Andy is like, what'd you just like throw it on his bed? Like, cause you're roommates? She's like, pretty much. Yeah. Can you imagine? Like, she's like, no, I just
Mhm.
want to buy him out. I just want to be out of that house.
I would have been
But how
holding that letter up to the light to try to see if I could make sense of something, you know?
steamed it open?
And then I also
Steam.
would have I called like an FBI, like Jody Weber or something, and shown her the letter, like based on the envelope size and the use of a pen or a pencil, do we believe this was from a treatment center or from her apartment in West Hollywood?
Well, I mean, you can look at the stamp of where it came
Yeah,
from.
exactly.
Does it say
Where was
Utah?
it sent from?
Yes.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
of that. But Ariana's like, no, I just threw it on his bed. I just threw it on his bed. But
She's
I
also
do
probably like, fuck these two. Like, I have a new boyfriend. Who cares? I'm going to be on Dancing with the Stars. I'm killing it in life. I have an Uber Eats deal. I have more money in my bank account than I've ever had. And people who never watch the show know who I am. So who's winning?
right. And so she needs to just pay him out that portion of the house, or he has to pay her
He
out.
has to pay her out.
Yeah, I was
I don't
like,
know
that
how
doesn't
that's
sound
going
right.
to work out because I think she'll experience true freedom once she does not have that house with him.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the best thing to do obviously is to sell it and split it because he needs the money to put into the restaurant anyway. And he
Yeah.
needs to move into a sad little apartment next to Tom Schwartz's sad
Mhm.
apartment. Um, oh, I will say something I noticed on the first couple of days they were filming her. Her hair was so greasy. And you're like, this is a person who is not bathing, you know?
Ariana.
Yeah, Ariana.
The first
That felt
seasons
real.
of the season?
Here, the episode we saw last night
Oh.
of the finale when her friends were all around her and Kristen came over and everything.
Oh,
They
I thought
filmed
her
through like
hair
that.
looked really good dark like that.
It's dark because it was laden in grease.
Oh. Well,
But that felt very real.
She got quite skinny too because she probably couldn't eat because she's just like. Okay. Can I now that you bring up things that are annoying, I don't like that when Sheena and Katie showed up that the guys remained on the couch. You're not on this fucking show. Get off the couch. Yeah. They were sitting on the floor. What gentlemen were these twats? Get up, get out of the room, come back later,
or
let
sit
them
across.
Sit with her.
Yeah, sit across so that the cameras aren't on you. Yeah.
And I wanted to see, even though Katie and Sheena were fighting at that point, I wanted to see them, with their arms around her on the couch supporting her. That's what I wanted to see. And these guys, I was like, get the hell out of here.
That is hilarious. So everybody follow Kate Casey. Everybody follow us at Pink Shade Pod. If 2,000 of Kate's followers could just head on over to Instagram and follow us, I'd appreciate it. We're doing a grassroots campaign over there. And thank you guys. And later this week, you will be getting a bonus episode, which is my interview with Larison Campbell of the podcast Witnessed, Devil in the Ditch, speaking of Mississippi. That will be out on Friday. And the bonus information that goes with that will also be on Patreon and Supercast. All right. Thanks, Kate. I'll talk to you later.